All right, I think I got it now. So, welcome to the Facebook Live, where we're going to talk about how healthy food choices that you're making could be leading to the difficult joint pain that you're having, to your inability for your body to heal the joint injury or pain or surgery that you've just come off of. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the actual injury and joint itself, but some of the decisions we're making around our recovery and in the real world. So today I want to talk about how foods can be a player in that. And I'm not going to be talking about food sensitivities. I'm not going to be talking about food allergies or intolerances, which are an important topic and something that I talk about with my clients a lot. But instead, we're going to be talking about a protective component found in really healthy foods that our bodies, because of the state we're in, are not able to break down. So what happens is they circulate through our body. A lot of times they get stuck in our soft tissues, and because of their structure, they break everything down, they cut through soft tissue, and it causes significant pain. So that's going to limit your ability to heal. And that's what I want to talk about. So I want to introduce you to oxalates. Now, maybe some of you have heard of oxalates and some of you have not. But plants have these really cool components in them known as oxalates. And what they do is they're protective components of plants. So if I'm an animal or an insect and I'm going to start to eat a plant, and these plants have oxalates to protect themselves from these animals or insects. And so when those insects or animals eat them, it's like they're chewing on hard rocks. And what it does is it actually breaks down their teeth or their digestive systems. And when that happens, then they don't eat it anymore. So it's really a safeguard for these plants in the real world against invaders. But the thing is, when we consume those specific plants and our gut is in a specific state and our gut microbiome are in a depleted state, then we can't break these components down, and therefore it circulates through our body. So really, really fascinating sort of scenario, maybe something you have heard or maybe something you haven't. So these can be huge players. I've seen that in my clients before, where it really isn't specifically the joint and its ability to heal, or especially if you have a lot of traveling pain, oxalates can be a big player in this. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. So oxalates, they act as these anti-nutrients, and they're going to bind with other minerals in the body like calcium, magnesium, iron, things like that. And when they do that, they're going to deplete your body of significant microminerals that are important. And microminerals, I'm a big fan of discovering your microminerals in your body, especially if you're dealing with pain, so you can actually heal and restore. And microminerals, if they're not available, you're not going to be able to heal. They are such huge, significant players in the body and how it works. For example, magnesium has over 500 different enzymatic responsibilities. You're depleted in magnesium, shit's not going to happen. So oxalates will actually deplete you even more of magnesium in the body. So that's kind of a correlation for some people significantly. Decreases oxalates too in the body will decrease mitochondrial function. So the mitochondrial part of the cell is really the powerhouse of the cell. It's kind of our invincibility area, and when it's really healthy, we are crazy healthy, and so oxalates can play a significant level in that. So we also know that oxalates can increase oxidative stress, which means that you're going to break down faster than you can repair, and you're going to age a lot faster. So once again, when we go into that healing process of joint pain or injury or issues, then you're going to have a harder time getting there because you're depleted. So now a healthy gut can help you break down oxalates. So usually people who have healthy guts can eat all kinds of plants, all kinds of grains, all kinds of different foods that have oxalates naturally in them, because they have the actual component, a specific bacterium in their gut microbiome that breaks that down. And those people that don't have healthy guts have a harder time because they don't have access to that bacterium. It's been depleted due to numerous reasons, and one of those reasons are kind of having a history of antibiotic use. That can be a big player. Dealing with chronic stress. So for people who have had surgery on specific joints, number one, they're going to be on antibiotics. Number two, they're going to be taking anti-inflammatories. Number three, they're going to be under stress because of what they just went through. And that's going to influence the health of the gut. And when you influence the health of the gut, you're influencing the health of the gut microbiome. So you're not having that specific component that's going to break it down. And so when that's going on, man, what's happening is then when you start eating really healthy food, things like spinach, grains, quinoa, soy, tofu, nut flours, nut milks, things like that we're all being encouraged to eat because they're really, really healthy, then you're going to find that these guys are going to bind to calcium in the body. When oxalates combine with calcium, they create crystals. And these crystals, as you know, calcium is very hard. And so these crystals create really sharp, jagged edges, and they'll get caught in your joints, they get caught in your soft tissue. So you think every time you move, those jagged edge knives of oxalate crystals are just tearing everything up. So how are you supposed to really heal when you're doing repetitive motion with PT? You're doing all those right things, but because these crystals exist within your joint and your soft tissue, you're breaking down. So it makes sense as far as why your pain is not going away. So how do you know if oxalates are a problem for you? Other than maybe symptomatically you having a hard time with symptoms and pain-like symptoms, but also if you're finding that you're not healing from injuries. So what I do is I have, if you guys can see this here, I'll put this up. So the test that I run, this might be backwards, is through the Great Plains Laboratory. It's an organic acids test. And on here, they have specific oxalate metabolites. And if you look at this and run this panel, we can see whether or not you have elevated levels of oxalates. And this can be a significant player, or maybe even a key role player in why you still have pain, even though you've been doing all the exercises and eating right and doing all these things that are being recommended for you. So when that is discovered, that's a huge finding. So we've got to address that. And you need some coaching around that. So people that do my Let's Fix Your Shit top shelf program, we run this panel on them and I coach them through how they can decrease oxalate levels in their body in a nice, slow, and gradual way. Because you don't want to do this too fast, okay? And there's some specific things that you need to do to get the oxalate levels down in your body, and you need to know at what levels you have them and at what speed to remove them. So it's huge to have a coach with that. So let me give you an example too here of some foods that can be a huge player in oxalate elevation in the body. And so spinach is the prime one. Poor little spinach. We give it tons of credit because it's such a healthy food. It's so full of calcium. It has all these wonderful, vitamins and minerals in it. So we want to eat it all the time. And we'll find a lot of people that start to increase the amount of intakes or daily intakes of spinach. They're going to find that at first they feel great, and then after a little bit, maybe they're starting to notice a little bit more joint stiffness and joint pain. And this is that oxalate accumulation. Spinach has a huge level of oxalates in them. And so if you have a compromised gut and you can't break them down, you're going to have significant pain in your body. So let me tell you, so a lethal dose of ingestion of oxalates for people is 10 to 15 grams, okay? And Dr. Shaw, who is actually here with the Great Plains Laboratory group here, he says that oxalates found, so most people who make green smoothies or use spinach in green smoothies, if they can contain 2 cups of spinach, that contains 15 grams in your green smoothie. So you think you're drinking something really crazy healthy, which it is if you have a healthy gut. It's significantly healthy. You can take and absorb the hell out of everything that's in it. But if you don't, what can happen is you can potentially build up those oxalate levels, and it contains those 15 grams, which is potentially a lethal dose for someone who's not able to break that stuff down. So once again, oxalates can be a big player in your joint health. And if you're curious whether or not oxalates might be a problem for you, I would encourage you to connect with me. You can go to my website and schedule a free qualifying call with me, and we'll see if moving forward with one of my programs and investigating into oxalate levels is right for you. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this gives you a little insight onto something maybe new that could be contributing to your joint discomfort. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.